Hello, and welcome to the presentation by FutureScape Tutors. Thank you for taking time. This is a project that we worked on by Punraj and myself, Girinder. We're building an AI personal tutor that would teach school students their course material. It can take doubts, it can monitor progress, and effectively help them learn better. For the purposes of the bootcamp, we've reduced the scope to GMAT subject-verb agreement questions. For us to build a product, the guiding principle is high engagement. Engagement manifests itself in the product as asking questions. So we ask a lot of questions to the student. Second, we want to leverage as many graphics as we can as building tables, dynamic updates, so that as we're teaching question, there is a lot that's moving on the screen and that drives a lot of engagement. We're looking at the current options that are available to a school student. The first is personal tutoring, one-to-one with a human. This is the best option, but it's expensive. Classroom setting is the default one. Video courses are generic. They would put out a lot of content, and it's up to you to drive, to be motivated to go through the entire course. ChatGPT is good for doubt clearing, but it would not be good for learning a particular concept. Online tutors like Khanmingo. This is essentially where the industry is moving to. Khanmingo has a tie with OpenAI. It's leveraging GPT-4, but in my opinion, doesn't do a good job because it's more text-oriented and it's a lot of typing to get to what you want to do. Synthesis is the one that I believe is going in the right direction. It's highly engagement-driven with a lot of graphics. Its present ARR is about 35 million.
Hello, I'm excited to guide you through a GMAT verbal question today, focusing on subject-verb agreement.
Now we see a case where a student would interact with the AI tutor. In this case, the section would essentially be explaining a simple question after a topic has been explained to the student. And we've taken a subset of the GMAT question over here. And based on the guiding principle, which is essentially trying to get engagement through questions, the AI would ask and prompt the user to answer multiple questions and also to try to incorporate graphics or try to incorporate a table. In this particular case, it would be a table that we will be using.
We'll begin with option A. Can you identify the subject in this sentence? Great, you've correctly identified team as the subject in option A. Let's update our table. Now, let's determine the type of the subject, team. Would you say team is singular or plural?
And the table.
Excellent. You've identified that team is singular. Let's update our table accordingly. We've now analyzed both options. Option A is grammatically correct because the subject and verb agree in number, while option B is incorrect due to a mismatch in number between the subject and verb. Bye now. We'll learn more soon.
Okay, so this is how it would explain a single question. One of the things that we've took away from this is that depending upon the type of questions, we can have different formattings and the way you would actually go about explaining it. So if it's a subject-verb agreement, a table would do. And when there are doubt questions, we can have access to a completely different a video that would play out, which would explain that option in a different format. Get on to why an LLM agentic process works and good for our use case. One of the good things about our use case is that we are able to control the environment. What I mean by that is when we talk about questions that are being taken up, and we have the ability to control that environment in terms of what question is being taught, what doubt questions we would take on, and what videos you want to show. Let's picture this. For example, if you're trying to build an application that can take any question under the sun, you would need to go out and build formatting agents that would have to take on completely different, unexpected behaviors. But on the other hand, if we control our environment and say, okay, these are the only 20 or 30 types of questions that we would take. These would be the format of doubt questions that we would explain. As we have more and more user sessions, we would have an understanding of where students are facing a problem. And we can build videos or explanations that the AI can then link onto based on those specific doubts. So it'll be a much more controlled and much cleaner experience for the student. One of the challenges that we faced was with student inputs, specifically when we were giving voice inputs. As the inputs grew longer, the behavior from agents was becoming more difficult to control. So that's one area that we will be focusing on. In terms of the road ahead, we would like to drive engagement based on graphics. And the areas that we found out is something like mermaid charts. That's in the direction which we want to go, where we have student inputs, and on the fly, we want to develop interactive graphics to explain concepts to students. We'd also like to show what Synthesiz's product is at this point. What you would see is that there would be smaller outputs that are given by the AI, and it controls the environment by having questions that it fixes. And the responses are taken in more from selecting out of options. Voice has been added in, but still it's very limited in terms of what it would take in. Thank you very much for taking the time. I would request any insights or advice that you could share on the market, which is presently we are focusing on is the student market, but is there any other market that you believe that you should be focusing on? Second, is there any other technology that you believe that we should look into? And third is, in terms of building a product, we have a very basic product which essentially just solves one question. The help that we would look for is how do we vet the market that what we're trying to build is something which the market really needs. Thank you again.